Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Coffee in Hand. I'm your host, Erica Lamberto. And today, sitting with me is Elias Zeina. He is the owner of Lafa Mediterranean, and I'm so excited to have him as my guest today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, I wanted to start by discussing your family heritage and just your background before we get into, what inspired you to become a business owner.
Yeah, of course. So, thank you for having me today. I think that's an important part of the story, especially my story. So, I come from a family of Lebanese immigrants. My parents both came to this country to escape the civil war that was going on in Lebanon at the time. So, my dad and his brothers came to this country in the 1970s with his parents. So, that'd be my uncles and my grandparents. And they came with nothing. I mean, they escaped a civil war. It was a really challenging time for them in Lebanon. You didn't know the schools were open. They didn't know when the food was coming, low access to food. So that's why they decided to emigrate here to Utica, New York, for better opportunity. They didn't see a future in Lebanon for them and their families. So my dad came in the 70s from North Lebanon over to Utica and with his family, and he started working hard. He didn't have an education. He didn't really have much money, just came really with nothing. And um, he later went back to Lebanon in the 90s and he married my mom. And they started a family. They came back to Utica and they started a family. So I'm one of three. I have an older brother, an older sister, and we used to go back to Lebanon all the time. So as kids, finish school and then the next day we'd go over to Lebanon and we'd be there the entire summer and then come back when school starts again in the fall. So I have so many great memories there and the culture, the heritage. I mean, that was a big part. My parents didn't just leave Lebanon. It was like, we're done with that country. We're here for better opportunity. I mean, that's still a big part of our heritage and our values and the way we live here in this community as well. So that was a big part of my life was going overseas, spending time with my cousins, my family there, and of course the food, right? The food is something that's so important to me, my family, especially now we have two businesses in this area, two restaurants. So in 2010, my parents decided to open up a Lebanese restaurant called Zeina's Cafe. It's down on Varick Street in the Brewery District, for those who aren't familiar, in downtown Utica.
It's amazing too. It's one of my favorites. I just had to do a quick shout out of that.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So at a young age, we were immersed in the business, right? You'd come home from school and you'd go over and wash dishes, or you'd help with prep or service or whatever it is. But I was a young kid. I was about, I think, 13 or 14 when they opened. And I genuinely enjoyed the work. I enjoyed serving people. I enjoyed cooking. I didn't do great in high school. I actually almost failed out of high school, went to New Hartford right up the road. And I actually got one of those letters that said, if you miss this many more days of school, you can't graduate. So I ended up going to school, got my diploma. I applied to a bunch of colleges and didn't get in anywhere except for MVCC. So I went to MVCC, spent 2 years there and really just kind of locked in and kicked myself into shape there. Started to focus. My parents were working really hard, and I wanted to make sure that I could help them as much as I can. So I started working hard in school. Ended up going to SUNY Poly after that. Got my 4 year, and then went again for my master's degree at SUNY Poly as well in business. So but while I was at school, I was putting together a business plan. So when I was at MV, I worked with another professor. His name is Justin Wilcox. Great guy. Still have a great relationship with him now. But he was my mentor for this business plan that I was putting together. And it was a fast casual Mediterranean restaurant that was a spinoff of my parents' restaurant. So I was working at my parents' restaurant, Zeina's Cafe, working there all the time. And I wanted to create this business that would introduce our cuisine to a larger audience. So I put the business plan together. This is my first year of college. We pitched it at the business plan competition, and we didn't win. I was kind of bummed out about that, but I knew that that was something that I didn't want to completely let go of. So continued my education, kept refining the business plan, and then finally, when I graduated in 2021, I graduated in 2019, COVID hit, and then we finally opened the doors to Lafa in 2021.
which is incredible. It's just a story about perseverance. If, you believe in something, you had this idea and you made it happen, it's just
Yeah, yeah, I remember I was so bummed out when I lost because I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna win. There's some seed money that these, judges and investors were there. They're gonna, help fund the restaurant, and we're gonna get it off the ground. I'll get my 2 year, and then boom, I'll be ready to open after that." And
Mhm.
they're just were not a fan of it at the time. Maybe I didn't communicate it properly at the time, whatever it was. But thankfully, that happened because I continued my education, just kept refining the plan, kept educating myself and learning more about the business, working in the family business at the same time. And I think it was a blessing in disguise. I was so bummed out though. I
I'm
wanted to win so bad.
I was gonna say, I can relate to that on a personal level because when we were initially moved to the area and we were looking, at locations and looking to open, we had so many people tell us, "No, this isn't the right time. It's not gonna work.
Hmm.
You know, try, in a couple years," or, it just kind of was discouraging because you're so excited, you're amped, you have this whole business plan, you have everything outlined perfectly, and you in your heart of hearts believes it's going to work and knows, like,
Hmm.
you have a great idea. And I feel like, in the face of, whatever it may be, people not seeing your vision that you have, to be able to take a step back and you just have to keep, like, pursuing it and, like, pushing, and it's like, if you don't, it might never happen, but just because someone else says no or not right now doesn't mean it's not gonna work or it's not a great idea.
Yeah.
But it's great for you that you just, didn't get too discouraged by that and,
Mhm.
threw the towel in or said, I'm gonna throw this business plan out, like, it's just not meant to be, like, it's awesome that you kept going and now, like, you're 4.5 years in,
Yeah.
and doing amazing and thriving,
Mhm.
so
No, I think absolutely. Yeah. At the time, if I were to open at that time, I don't think it would be success. I don't think I'd still be an open, honestly. So I'm glad that happened. At the time, I was bummed out, but I'm really glad that happened. But yeah, I mean, when we went you opened in 2021 as well,
yes.
that was a tough time to open because COVID I opened in March 2021, and we signed a lease in 2020, during COVID, and, a lot of people were making these crazy claims like dining rooms will never come back, and stadiums will never be full, and people will never travel again, and restaurants will never recover, and it's like, okay, that none of that happened. So,
Right.
like, as business owners, entrepreneurs, we have to look and say, almost have a little bit of foresight or a little bit of vision to say, all right, what is going to be a structural change during COVID? And then what's just like a little temporary blip? And I think you just kind of get lucky sometimes, but also it just takes a little bit of vision to know, like, all right, these things that are happening now aren't going to happen forever. And let's just go ahead and, give this thing a shot. Something, you opened Calabria in 2021. We opened Lafa, like you believed in this concept. I believed in our concept and we worked really hard, to be open 4.5 years. That's an incredible accomplishment. And, 90% of restaurants and, food service establishments fail in the first 3 years. So,
Yes.
nice job.
Yeah,
Awesome.
well, and I was gonna say too, in that, like and as COVID was, like, wrapping up at that time too, we had to have, like, all those restrictions in place,
Yeah.
so I'm sure you guys did too with the 6 feet apart stickers, the shields, wearing the masks, and
Yeah.
it's, like, also, like, we were so tried to keep everything so clean and
Sure.
pristine in here because we were so worried that, people, might not wanna come in if they were
Mhm.
worried about, germs still at that time, so it's, like, so many extra precautions that, you put in place or there were extra things that's, like, a normal business owner when you're first launching
Sure.
your business is not typical for you to
Right.
be concerned about or thinking about or having to take these extra measures to, like,
Mhm.
make sure, like, your customers are comfortable and everyone,
Yeah, of course. It was a tough time, and then that's one part of it, and then the other part was just, like, the food costs, right? I mean,
Yes.
things just got very expensive, not only for us, but, like, the grocery store, we saw all the prices go up, so now we're having to open with our original prices, and then you have to adjust the prices because, romaine, it just skyrocketed 3x, and chicken prices just went up 4 times, and it's like, to continue adapting,
Mhm.
is it I think we opened during one of the more challenging
Right.
times, obviously there's food prices have always gone up and staffing and labor has always been, tight and
Mhm.
a challenge for business owners, but I don't know, 2021 was tough.
Yeah.
That was a tough time to open. To make it this far is great.
Absolutely, and I was gonna say too, with, like, having to adjust pricing as a business owner, I'm sure you feel the same way. You don't wanna have to do that unless it's, like, absolutely necessary, like, I feel like you just try to, like,
Yeah,
eat that cost as much as you can
sure.
until you're almost, like, forced to
Yeah,
like, that you have no other choice because you can't be, like, losing,
of course.
it's like you have to be able to continue to, 'cause it's like you have to purchase all of your inventory and everything to be able to operate,
Mhm.
and, you can't not be able to do that if
Sure.
you're keeping your prices too low.
Of course.
It's always that, like, feeling of a risk with having to make those adjustments and hoping people understand and see what the current climate is,
Mhm.
that
No,
everyone might be facing.
100%. That's one of the worst things as a business owner is having to raise prices. But it's essential. You need a certain level of profitability to do all the cool things. You have seasonal drinks coming out. You can't experiment with that unless you're profitable. You can't pay your team, your hardworking team who deserves raises unless you're profitable. So it sucks, but from a business standpoint, it just profitability has to come first. Nothing else works unless you wouldn't have the lights on right now if you weren't profitable.
Right.
Same with us. So,
Absolutely.
um, unfortunately, that's just how things work. Yeah.
And for you, obviously, you said you had your inspiration for starting Lafa was from your family business. Was there anything specific that you like experienced or that you learned from your family business and how that helped kind of gauge or form the business plan of how you wanted to style your own restaurant?
Yeah. So I learned a ton from my parents. I was fortunate enough to work in that business and they're incredibly transparent with how the business worked. So that allowed me to even gain a deeper understanding of how a restaurant works. Had access to the financials and the insurance information and the legal it's like that all that is very important in running a business. But on top of that was I mean, you've been in the restaurant before, like, hospitality, like, it's just ingrained in their DNA and our DNA as a family.
Hmm.
You walk into Zeina's, I mean, it's an experience, right? You're walking into a restaurant that's kinda designed backwards, like, you're walking into the kitchen, and then you make your way to the dining room. The amount of when I was working there, the amount of people who would come in, and they'd be like, "Am I at the right place? Did I come in the right door? Like, this is crazy." But then the whole kitchen team greets you, and then my dad goes around with the coffee, and then my mom comes around and gives you a hug and a kiss. So it's like they put on a master class when it comes to hospitality, and I learned a ton from them. And to be honest, it's natural for them. It's just like that's just who they are. So being in the food service, the restaurant business, like it just worked, right? Like that just made sense for them and who they are as people. So I was able to learn a ton when it comes to hospitality. And then my mom is obviously an excellent cook, right? No matter we talk about business, we talk about hospital, like the food has to be good, right? So,
Absolutely.
so she was
Minor detail, right?
right.
When you're rest, you're like, "The hospitality, everyone will keep coming if we're, like, just super friendly with everyone."
but but the food, right? So
Yes.
she was like she's such a great cook, and I learned a ton on the food end of things, and then from the hospitality end of things, and then I was learning the business end of things in school, and just putting all that together and like my years of experience really helped me design Lafa. And yeah, I mean, so we designed Lafa because again, we wanted to introduce the cuisine to a larger audience. We knew that eating healthy food makes you happier, right? Being healthier makes you happier. And we wanted to see a happier community. We noticed that kind of people were on the go a lot. Not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's just how it is. So there was demand for maybe more convenience in the Mediterranean space. And people were just seeking, healthier options too, right? So they wanted Mediterranean, they wanted convenience, they wanted healthy options. And there was a niche, that was a niche business that, there was demand for. And that's kind of where the idea came from. And my experiences yeah, at Zeina's, we're just like just they're gold. It really was, like, so essential to the success of Lafa, and we're a fast casual business, but one thing that we pride ourselves on is our strong customer service, right? You come in and you're greeted. Same thing with the coffee shop. You
Mhm,
come in here and you're greeted. This isn't a sit down restaurant here at Calabria. It's not a sit down restaurant at Lafa. So the touch points are very minimal. So,
mhm,
but those minimal touch points where a customer comes in and they're greeted and then they're wished a happy farewell when they leave, like those are incredibly important. And to be frank, other fast food places, it's hard to scale customer service, right?
right.
You look at, some of the chains and McDonald's, I'm not trying to throw any names out there, but the fact is they have tens of thousands of locations, but haven't figured out customer service end of things. So that's one thing that we'll always win on. And I tell my team all the time is the customer service is gotta be the hospitality has gotta be like the forefront of what we do. Obviously the product's gotta be good, the place has gotta be clean. But if we execute on all three of those things, customer service, food, and the cleanliness, I mean, we have a successful business for years to come.
I agree with 100%. I feel like you're me talking to my staff right now because that's literally the values that we also like try to instill in our team is just understanding like for us every single interaction is so important to us. I mean, every single person we want them to receive like just feel like we're the bright spot of their day, right? Like to feel like they're being welcomed into like a positive environment and hopefully like in a small way it like shifts the trajectory of their day, right? Like just I feel like it's such a loss to like not offer that
Of course.
to
Yeah.
people because I feel like for me it's so key and important. Um
Absolutely.
and I
Yeah.
think that's amazing that you guys do that as well.
We got to think how many restaurants they drive past to come to Lafa.
Mhm.
How many coffee shops do customers drive past to come to Calabria? So that's incredibly important because I think the reason a lot of businesses, I mean, some of our favorite brands growing up, in the 90s, it's like they're not here anymore. And the reason being, I mean, you could point to the fact that their standards started to slip, right?
Mhm.
They stopped greeting customers with a friendly smile. The floors got a little bit sticky, and the management and owners, okay, that's good enough. Good enough is not going to keep you in business for very long. So
Right.
it's important to execute on the customer service, right? It's a warm greeting, a smile, engage with them. How's your day, right? These little things, they're not rocket science. It's not complex, but they are so important to the success of any business, not just coffee or Mediterranean food. And that's what you see when places get a little sloppy and they start tolerating a lower standard, and you just can't have that. You're not going to be business very long if that's going to be the new standard is a lower standard.
Well, and two, I feel like it's like leading by example, like as the owners, if we're like exhibiting, if that's how we're interacting with
Sure.
people, I feel like most of your team is going to follow suit. I mean, obviously, every once in a while you might have someone who's just not a good fit, but for the most part, I feel like if you lead by example and, you kind of set that standard for yourself and,
Yeah.
it's,
No, 100%. You have to kinda be the hardest working one in the room, and you have to set the pace for everybody, and, if you're a business owner that is frowning and sucks the energy out of the room, what are your staff gonna do, right? So you have to come in with the energy, you have to come with the positivity, and sometimes it's hard, some days
yeah,
are challenging, but, you have a really nice staff here, and my team is incredible at Lafa, and I'm lucky to have them. But you got to set the tone and make sure the standards stay high, and the product is great. Yeah, it's good.
absolutely. And I think another thing that's important to both of us, and I'll let you share more on this, but just being a part of a community and being able to work with different businesses and organizations and kind of, help where we can. And I know you've done a fantastic job doing, fundraisers and, working with different local spots. And I just wanted to kind of touch on that. I think you're doing an incredible job with that and just kind of what, you know, inspired you to
Yeah.
also do like a community outreach, in that way.
So yeah, community is a big part of what we do. It's something that's easy to say, but we try to find different ways to support the community. We have our fundraiser nights that we host non for profits. They reach out to us, and we'll host a fundraiser night for them where 20% of the sales will go to their non for profit organization. So we love the smaller organizations where that dollar makes a big impact, right? So like, I don't know, we had one recently for a New Hartford boys swim team, and the few $100s that was raised, made a big impact for them. And we just have find different ways to continue supporting community organizations. The community was very receptive to my parents coming over from Lebanon and coming to this community where, they had nothing and they were able to start a life and start a family and start businesses. And it's like that wouldn't have been the fact if the people before us, the generous donors and the generous taxpayers didn't, support the next generation. So I am incredibly grateful for that. And we never want to just keep sucking the sap out of the community. We want to make sure we're giving back as much as we can in different ways too. So yeah, it's community. Again, we say it, but we genuinely just try to support as much as we can.
And to kind of touch on what you were saying with your family coming over to Lebanon or from Lebanon.
Yeah,
So I know I kind of talked to you, we chatted a little bit before the podcast about how, my great grandparents came over from Persia and they had to flee because, they were being persecuted. So they were Christians living in a Muslim world, and, the Turkish government, was unfortunately, there was a genocide with the Assyrian and Armenian, people, and, you know, they had to make the tough decision to, flee, and they came here to the United States, and, I'll probably get more into their journey and, kind of everything they went through to get here, um, at another time, but just knowing how much they went through and
sure,
how hard they had to work to, you know, adapt and adjust to being in a new country and, um, just how important community is and, we don't know where people have come from or what they've been through in their life, and I think just being more receptive to that and, you know, taking the time to work with and help individual organizations. It's like you don't know how you're touching people in
sure,
that way
yeah,
and just how important connection is and community is and, you know, working in a way to make that happen.
hmm
And I think it just ties into just every interaction is important. Every person you come into contact with, it's just as a business owner, it's like you don't always know how far that can reach.
sure, yeah. Well, how amazing is that for them to make the decision to come to the United States, right? Is that where they came? They went from Persia to the United States,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
So my great grandfather, he was actually a translator
Okay.
for the British, and he spoke 7 different languages,
Wow.
and he actually had the option to go to England and live, and he would have been, pretty comfortable life there,
Yeah.
being a translator for them. But he made the decision to come over with his community, the Assyrian people, because he did speak so many languages. Um, he was like part of that movement and helped bring everyone over.
Wow.
And they came to New York, to Ellis Island, and they decided to move to Chicago and create their Assyrian community there. And he was a really big part of, kind of helping to like communicate and safely get everyone kind of to
Yeah.
where they ended up, you know,
Sure.
growing and thriving. And yeah, it's an amazing story. And I'm just very thankful to
Sure.
you know, everything they went through so that I'm able to be here today and, I don't take that for granted
Of
and,
course not.
I think it's also why I work so hard because it's, all the sacrifices that came before are just so important
Yeah.
too.
Well, it changed the entire trajectory of your family. Like,
Yes,
yeah, like you wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for your great grandparents. And,
absolutely.
same with my parents who came over. It's like they made that decision where they didn't feel there was a good enough future in Lebanon, so they came to this country, and, um, yeah, and I think for me, I talk about doing really poorly in high school, almost failing out, and it's like, that summer between high school and college where it was like, "Is this it? Like, am I just gonna be a loser?" Like, that's what it am I just gonna, like, be a line cook at Zeina's, add no value, which great for whoever, chooses that path, but my parents sacrificed a lot for us to be here, for me and my siblings, and it's like, this is where the story ends because I'm just, like, lazy and don't wanna do anything. So I think for me, it was just like, "Okay, you gotta change what you're doing because that's just not right." Like, I'm a religious person and, honor your father and mother is like a big part of what the Catholicism preaches. And
Mhm.
it's like, is that the right way to honor them? Is just to like sleep in and not work and just like, mess around? Like, no, like you got to do more. So I think for me, that was exactly it. It was just like, yeah, my life has to be more because my parents sacrificed everything for me and my 2 siblings, right? That was their life, is me it still is their life, me and my brother and sister, so it's like, you got you gotta step up, right? And that's what it was for me, and the same thing, it's like, immigrants are some of the hardest working people, and I witnessed my parents work incredibly hard just to put food on the table, and it's like, you know, I'm grateful for that. It's like,
Mhm.
so that's why I work hard. That's why you work hard. It's like, you know, the story doesn't stop here.
Yes,
There's gonna be
absolutely.
more to it with us and the next generation.
Yeah, and I will say we have, a couple staff members of ours who, are refugees. Their family came
Yeah.
over from Syria, for similar reasons of, hardships happening there and having to make that difficult decision of, coming here. Um, and I have, like, this passion of I really wanna work with, an organization that, I know there's multiple here in the area because we take,
Yeah.
refugees, which I think is incredible, and being part of, like, making them feel more welcome here because I think, not everyone realizes that most people in that type of situation, it's not a choice,
Mhm.
it's
The refugees. Yeah.
yes, like,
Right.
they're being faced with some type of, persecution or
Sure.
situation that's very difficult, and then, they want to, you do anything for your family and especially if you have children, you know, to make them, safe
Mhm.
and like you said, like your parents did that for you and how it made you want to, create a better life for yourself
Sure.
and, you know,
Yeah.
doing incredible
Yeah,
with your business and
it's just, yeah, we're so lucky to be born in the United States, At least that's, my worldview is shaped by my experiences, and my experiences where my parents grew up during a war, and it's like, I grew up, there's no war here. It's very safe, and if you need call the police now, they'll be here in 60 seconds. It's like, that's not the reality for a lot of people across the world, so, you know, very, very lucky, you know?
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's
And that
great. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, we have a lot in commmen, right? As like
I know.
families of
No, it's
immigrants and
definitely I know. And like I said too, I definitely, it's important for me. I definitely have had it on my heart to, like, share more of their story,
yeah.
at some point, and, my grandpa is a big part of that, so who knows? Maybe if he comes back here, I can
Yeah,
get
get him on the podcast.
I can get him on here.
Does
Um,
he have the accent at all?
no,
No, okay.
he
The
was
great
he was born
he's born
here in
here.
the United
Gotcha.
States.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they did have, one infant that was born, as they were
Got you.
fleeing,
Okay.
and unfortunately, that sibling did perish.
Wow.
Obviously, it was difficult times. They were
Yeah.
fleeing through the mountains and
Aw.
terrain and, you know
Yeah, they sacrificed a lot.
yes,
Yeah.
and it was, like, very challenging for them, to come over here, but, fortunately, my, grandfather and
Yeah.
he had a brother as well, and they are here in the born in the United States and
Awesome.
yeah.
Are they around this community or
So, no, my, there so I know I said they moved to Chicago,
Yeah.
so, my dad's family is in the Illinois
Gotcha. Okay.
area, like, Chicago,
Uh-huh.
Chicagoland.
Nice.
But yeah.
Good. Gotcha.
Um, and then just to, transition, speaking about your restaurant with, the holidays coming up and Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Are you guys I know you change and do the seasonal menus and
Yeah.
stuff. Have you guys have any new offerings
Yeah.
for the
So
holidays?
we're like you, we're always kind of finding creative ways to market our product and to get new things on the menu. So um yeah, so for the winter menu, we have one of our most popular items, which is the hot honey falafel. So that's coming back.
That's one of
Um
my favorites, by the way.
it's yeah,
It's so good.
I I always as soon as it comes off the menu, because we always rotate our menu, right? As soon as it comes off the menu, I get a few emails that's like, "I'm never coming back," you gotta get the hot honey falafel. So
Boycotting.
anyways, yeah,
So serious.
so now I'm excited to email them back saying it's coming back. So
Yes,
so
yes.
that's coming back, in the winter, which, I'm not sure when you launch this, but it might be already out. So that's gonna be on the menu. We're also going to do a beet and balsamic hummus, so that'll be brand new. We've never introduced that. And then we're doing a peach apricot tea as our seasonal beverage, um, as well as a pre-made bowl, which we haven't, completely decided all the details on. So that's coming up. Um, New year, we have this new what we're calling like Passport Quest campaign, where every week you come in and you collect a sticker that you put in this little custom passport that we're going to give to everybody, and then we'll have a unique sticker for 8 weeks straight. And if you come in once a week, collect all the stickers, you get some free merch. So that'll be
That's
kind of
super
a
fun.
yeah, so
Cool.
it'll be a fun kind of winter thing that's coming up.
And a
Uh,
good, like, way to engage too, with
yeah,
people, like
people love, like, free merchandise,
yes,
and
of course,
they're
any
always
giveaway, right?
I I don't sell anything, I see you have T-shirts over there, but we don't
Yes.
really sell anything, so every time we get stuff, honestly, I just find ways to give it away, but everyone's always asking, so this will be a nice little way to give back to our customers,
Yes,
who
absolutely.
dine with us often, so yeah, I mean, we're always doing some stuff, and then back behind the scenes, we're doing, like, an inventory management system, which is boring, I'm not gonna talk about, but,
Oh, that's okay.
it's
That's
a
okay.
that's like
That's interesting for us as business owners. We're like, "Are you using a new system, or is it just, like, you're tracking it differently?"
it'll help track food prices better and, help us make decisions on sales and reporting and blah, 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 boring stuff. But, it's like a 12-week build out and, we're in, like, halfway through, so I've been
Oh.
working hard on it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
exciting, though. It's exciting once it's done.
Well, yeah.
The process of, like, getting through, like,
It's been a lot of
your
work to get to this point.
yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
work.
But it's been good. So, yeah, we're always working on stuff just like you guys, trying to stay a few months ahead and, trying to do cool things for our customers and, yeah, keep our brand fresh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and for Thanksgiving, do you guys, do, like, offerings, like, family style or anything specific that people,
No,
if they're not, like, looking to cook, that they can
for Thanksgiving, we just close our doors on that day.
okay.
Yeah, so,
You're like,
we'll be closed on the
you have
yeah,
to have one day, right?
give everyone a break.
Yep.
We do close on Sundays too, so everyone gets at least one day off who works for us. But, yeah, Thanksgiving, we're closed, and, Christmas, we're closed, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. So try to use that as an opportunity for, I don't know, give the staff some time off, spend with their family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, we only close on Christmas Day.
Christmas Day. Yeah.
Yeah, one day a year,
Well,
but
I come in here Christmas Eve, so I'm
yeah,
happy you're open.
yeah,
But, yeah, and then, we'll do some gift card specials for, Black Friday and Cyber Monday and things like that, so,
yeah, that's
yeah.
awesome.
So next week is, this'll won't be out by then, but,
Yeah,
Veterans Day, free meal on Veterans Day
yeah,
for all veterans that come in.
okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah, nice.
next
That's
Tuesday.
I think
Yeah.
that's amazing, to offer that. I feel like people who, serve our country and, you know, that should always be honored,
Yeah.
even as veterans, whether they're, active military or veterans. I just feel like honoring them is,
Oh,
in
100%.
any
Yeah.
way,
Sure.
it's obviously just, a small thing. We do have, a discount we have for first responders and military personnel here
That's
that we
great. Yeah.
offer all year round.
Sure.
But I feel like just they sacrifice everything
Yeah.
for us and for our country and to have the freedoms we do and, anything we can do to give back,
100%, yeah. I wish
So I think that's
we could do
incredible.
more. Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah, the reason we have our freedoms is because of them, so,
Yeah.
yeah. I wish I could do a lot more than what we do, but,
Yeah.
yeah, free meal on Veterans Day,
Oh,
so,
that's
yeah, of
incredible.
course.
And then to kind of transition out of, the business realm, is there anything specific, like a hobby you have or anything you like to do when you do have, a day off or, I know I say a day 'cause I know you said you're closed on Sundays. So, like, if and to make it clear too, as business owners, just because you might be off a day doesn't mean you're not working. So,
Yeah,
I know how that goes. But just something when you have some free time,
sure.
what you enjoy doing, when
Uh,
you're not running a
so
business.
to be clear, I have a great team, so I'm not working around the clock, but I am on call around the clock, right? My
Mhm.
phone's always open just in case things come up. But yeah, when I'm not working, I we have a me and my wife we have a 1 year old, so I like spending time with my little son Gabriel. It's fun to see him grow up. So you have 2 kids, so
Yeah.
you know exactly where I'm at right now. So that's a lot of fun. I have some really good friends. I like to hang out with. I go fishing once in a while. I make exercise a big part of my day, so I'll try to hit the gym each day, and then spend time with my wife and my parents and my siblings, and it's not super interesting,
No.
but it's pretty much my life.
Great.
But
That's
yeah,
great.
so
That's all good
what?
things. And then one question I ask everyone,
Yeah.
before they go is, what's your go-to coffee drink?
Um, so I'm one of those guys who will drink iced coffee all year round. So right now, and I kind of go on like little kicks. So right now, I just like a regular coffee iced with just like a little cream. Um, Sometimes I'll go black if I'm trying to be super healthy, but midday pick me up, I like a nice latte. Yeah, nice vanilla latte or whatever seasonal flavors out there.
Yes, I was gonna say I might
Yeah, that I
seasonal.
was
It
staring at
kind
that
of
thing over
it
there.
it kind of melted a little bit here during during our interview, but this is our, new seasonal pistachio white mocha, and it's delicious.
So good. All
It's
right,
it's so good,
be back for
even
that
though
one.
it's melted a little bit. It's like a sad snowman.
Yeah, still delicious.
Yes,
But
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you everyone for listening, and, we'll be back next month.